Hello everyone and welcome to What Culture Gaming. I'm Ben from What Culture Gaming.
I'm Scott from What Culture Gaming.
And I'm Adam from just the whole thing.
You know him.
We brought him in because he's quite the Uncharted fan.
I've just realised I've got my card back to front, so that's a good start.
We'll just ruin the illusion.
I would make a terrible treasure hunter. Uncharted Lost Legacy.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's out next week. And the embargo for it was this morning, but we only got our review copy yesterday. So I spent all of last night playing as much as I could.
Oh, you poor devil.
I know. I played about 4.5 hours. And I think I'm about halfway through, maybe slightly further. I don't know how long this game's going to be, but you two both like the Uncharted game.
Yes, because you came in and we were both like, well, you've played the new one, and there's a lot of things to ask about this. So as a base starting point, does it feel worthwhile being Uncharted 4 ended so damn well?
I think it is. I don't know. It's hard to judge whether or not it's worthwhile.
Right.
I am really enjoying it. And I think people who really liked Uncharted 4 will appreciate that there's more Uncharted to be had.
Indeed. Call me a basic bitch, but Naughty Dog is my favourite people who make games.
Developer.
They're my favourite developer of
really
games.
Good. Nice one, wrestling.
I've got... Shut up. I could talk about catch as catch can. You have no idea what that means.
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
I've heard it said.
Let's not devolve into wrestling.
So the basic story of this is that Nadine Ross from Uncharted 4, the mercenary leader of Shoreline, it's set after Uncharted 4. She teams up with Chloe Fraser, and they go on an adventure to find the Tusk of Ganesh, which I need to look at to remember because they say all sorts of incredible Indian mythology in this, like Hullabadoo.
Hullabadoo.
Is it Hullabadoo?
Which is a place.
Oh, it's actually a real place.
It's a city, an ancient city, maybe a mythical city. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
But there's lots of keywords to remember, and I forget them frequently. But they're after the Tusk of Ganesh, so they're crashing about in India this time.
So why are they after that? Is it just because it's valuable?
Just because they need some money. Nadine's fallen on some hard times after Uncharted 4 because
she did lose her entire
she's
company.
Lost yeah. So she's.
They all died.
And Nathan Drake killed them all.
Yeah.
And he's brought up in conversation. He's just like,
I was going to say that they reference it.
How did you date that guy for a while? Isn't he just an annoying ass? Not mentioning the genocide of South Africans that Nathan Drake went upon in Uncharted.
He murdered everyone who worked for me.
Do they use that as a cool way to like do kind of like a meta commentary on Drake? Because he's one of the most talked about characters in terms of like
they don't talk about the murdering.
Right. Okay.
They do have several conversations about how can you stand that guy? He's so annoying. It's like, well, he's charming in his own way.
Nice.
But yeah, basically that's the central premise. Okay. And as per every Uncharted game, there's a war criminal who's also after this stuff. But he's a warlord this time, an Indian warlord, and Nadine and him have crossed paths in the past. So they've got a history, but she hasn't revealed what that is yet.
Right.
And that's that.
I guess a big question is, because I'm not hugely aware of like the details of the game. Like I'd heard about it, and I was talking to you about it before we came in to film this, and like I was still under the impression it was essentially a DLC story expansion.
Yes.
It started off as that apparently, but like, does it feel like its own?
It
substantial game.
Well, that's the thing, because there are a couple of small issues that feel a bit out of place for a Naughty Dog game that I'll mention in a second. That makes it feel like it's sort of budget,
right?
But then they've clearly at some point gone, put the money into it. And
well, that was the
thing
with the production of it, like with the marketing, because it started out as this like it felt like a DLC thing, and we had to trace back to whether there's actually like any announcement of it being DLC. But I remember like a few months back, there was an interview with like someone from Naughty Dog, and they were like, no, this is a full-on standalone Uncharted, and we're treating it as such. We put the time in, whatever.
It does feel like that.
It does feel like a course correct though, like along the way.
It certainly does. I was saying to you guys before I came in, there were some weird issues when I first put it in. When on the PS4 menu, when you hover over a game, it gives you a brief overview of who's played it and how many likes it's got, and to buy it in the PlayStation Store for some reason, which is stupid. And also the trophies you've got. And the trophies, it said I've got 84%. And I love trophies.
Right at the beginning.
And I thought, before I'd even started it, and I got really excited, like, oh my god, has it glitched? And has it given me all the trophies? That's really exciting.
Yeah.
But no, it was actually displaying the Uncharted 4 trophies.
So it's sort of tucked into the game.
So it seems like it's folded in there. The multiplayer, which is coming live shortly, is also just hooks straight up to Uncharted 4's. Yeah, it hooks up to Uncharted 4's multiplayer though.
Right.
I see.
Adds a couple of things in, so it all ties into itself. But yeah, the trophy list in particular was interesting because when you get DLC, it just breaks it. It adds on as another bolt-on.
And that
thing.
Perhaps speaks to how it was maybe categorized at one time or not. Maybe on Sony's end.
Yeah. So in terms of new things they've added,
yes,
you've got lock picking now.
Woo!
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone loves that. I actually quite liked it. They used it in. It's very simple. You rotate the left analog stick until it vibrates, and then
like every lockpick minigame.
Until you don't even need to use the right stick or anything until it goes ding. That's one tumbler done. Onto the next one.
I mean, I haven't. Yeah, sure.
It just adds.
Splinter Cell was a long time ago.
That adds tension at certain bits.
It adds tension when they first introduce it, but then later on, the bit I'm at the moment is just opening basically loot boxes.
That just sounds like wasting time.
It does, doesn't it?
It might be.
But equally, they, similarly to the closest thing I can relate it to is Left Behind, the Last of Us DLC that was technically then standalone later on. They sort of did. It was a mixture where they didn't around in terms of holding weapons back or enemies. It was like, you've played The Last of Us, you know how it is.
You're doing.
You might find a weapon that you wouldn't get until the end of The Last of Us almost immediately. That's okay. They do a similar thing here where it's just like, we're not going to babysit you. We're going to tell you the basics again, but we're not going to slowly introduce you to weapons and gameplay elements.
You're here for action. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
You know what's up.
And it starts off pretty well.
Right.
Sort of quite slow, walking-y segments from Uncharted 4.
Okay.
She's walking through a market, and then having a nice chat with a little girl, and then there's the bit from the demo where it was announced where you're walking through the city at night, and it's basically a war zone.
That goes into one of the questions I had, because in that original demo they showed what looked like a new hand-to-hand system where they were there was lots of melee combat. It was almost God-handish. And have they got anything? And another thing is have they upended the animations to account for a completely different character, or do they still run around like Drake?
She does move differently.
Cool.
I must say, she did look a little bit weird when she's just walking.
All right.
She just walks like this, and then no faster than this.
Never any faster.
Yeah, and it was this was one of my first issues that I bumped into. I was like, that feels a bit weird for a Naughty Dog game, where she was walking around and there was just crap on the floor in these streets, like baskets and stuff, and she would just, rather than putting her hand out to touch over it as she walked past, like the Uncharted games have done, she just sort of walks into and just stops. You're like, okay, let me just reverse and walk off. And it wasn't very smooth.
Right, and that's the thing that Naughty Dog are kind of famous for. They cover it. They bring it. They don't halt your immersion by kind of doing weird animation. They try and overcompensate with
the seamless animations.
Yeah.
And that market scene at the beginning with the child, I was constantly walking into her and going. And then we'd look at each other, and then I'd walk into her again. She'd go, and then she'd turn around and walk over like,
oh god! Did Bethesda develop this? Did they
I don't know. This, I was immediately not irritated, but kind of like, oh no, please don't. Don't be bad. But then it really opened up, and I'm really enjoying it now.
I was going to say, do we know much about whether it's not Naughty Dog's a team that have done this?
No, they're very much working on The Last of Us Part 2, as we're aware. This definitely feels, it wasn't written by the same people. That's another issue I have, is that...
Oh no, not the writing.
No, not necessarily. No, the writing isn't bad, but Chloe Fraser, the character from Uncharted 2, who we already know, is suddenly, for the purpose of this story, has daddy issues, because her daddy was super invested in this particular thing that she's going after, which kind of makes sense maybe if it's coming up now.
Yeah.
But bearing in mind we had to suspend our disbelief of why Nate didn't mention Sam for 3 games.
I was just going to say, that was already,
This feels a bit weird, because she's renowned as a tough, take-no-nonsense, take-no character.
She also seems like she had everything in control as well, which maybe the way the story goes in full is that she is hiding, she's using that as a defense barrier kind of thing.
Have they fixed her eyes yet? Because they freak me out all the time.
Yes, I think so, and we finally know what ethnicity she is, because obviously she is Australian,
right?
Yeah, and I always assumed that, but it turns out she's half Indian. I was like, okay. I would never ever have guessed that. But
I'm sure the woman who voices her is Asian anyway, so I was kind of
Claudia Black.
Me, or maybe not then. I don't know. I don't know who Claudia Black is.
Sure. But yeah, she's half Indian, so we know that now.
Right.
That is known. But just like Elena across each game, she's had a complete design every time she shows up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really feels like her, and because they said several times in the marketing leading up to this, the gameplay will reflect how you guys are getting on relationship-wise throughout the story.
Oh, really?
And I don't know if
Like a dating sim.
I don't know if I've really seen that yet, because she'll still fight when you fight, and
does it mean she'll be less helpful or something?
Maybe, but I don't really know how to tell if that's happening.
Like a Telltale thing, you accidentally like friendly fire her. It says, Nadine will remember that.
Yeah, she crashes the car. Yeah. No, I haven't really seen that yet, and they do seem, after every scene of action in this particular area I'm in at the moment, they have a sit down and go, yeah, so my dad, so my dad.
He was a brute.
And it's like, they seem to be getting on really well very quickly, and I don't know if something...
Oh, I thought it was that they were mates for a long time.
No, this is the first time they've done anything together.
Oh, really?
Off the recommendation. Their only mutual acquaintance is Drake.
Oh, because they'd not...
I know someone you'd like.
Right, yeah. Because they'd not crossed paths before, and obviously she wasn't... Chloe wasn't in Uncharted 4.
It's a good dynamic, because Nadine has never done treasure hunting before.
Right.
So she is trying desperately to learn about the Indian mythology as she is being taught. And
That's cool.
It's got the Last of Us thing again, where if she wants to say more, you can walk up to her and press triangle if there's a little thing above her head, and you'll like try and teach her about the Indian mythology, and she'll be like, okay, I understand now, I get it. And so obviously they're critiquing each other, her from Nadine critiquing Chloe from a fighting and combat standpoint, because obviously she's a mercenary leader, and then Chloe from an archaeology and treasure hunting stuff. So that's fun.
I mean, Chloe's sort of already an unstoppable badass because she's happened to be in a previous Uncharted game.
Exactly.
So I don't know how you teach
she's
a friend
her
to
way
make
around
them great.
And like, do they treat Nadine as being like as OP as she was in Uncharted 4? I would love that stuff, but I've seen a lot of people being like, oh, Nadine got the better of Drake. She's wiping out all these people. I thought that was kind of cool to see.
She is good at fighting. You don't play as Nadine, as far as I'm aware. I don't know if that will change at some point. You do. I have only played as Chloe so far, which is cool. I like playing as Chloe. In terms of her being an unstoppable force, rather I'm not going to say anything, but obviously you bump into the antagonist at some point, and he kicks your ass. Like, you both try and fight him, and obviously Nadine is far superior at fighting than you are, but like, he's just throwing you all over the place, and she's been warning Chloe about it the whole game so far, and Chloe's not really been believing him, because he wears glasses, and he looks quite unassuming. She was like, wow, you are not kidding. he is a tough man.
Okay.
But yeah, the big thing that they've changed is that the game is far more open. It really opens up the cars back with the winch and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And
that was my least favourite bit.
Gonna say, that was like...
Well, I didn't mind it, and this one is quite cool because you emerge into this area, you climb up to the top of a bit and you can see all of it, and you're like, okay, I've got my little map. Get in your car.
I guess that's what treasure hunting is, I guess. But like,
is it though?
Well, sort of like having a landscape to explore, clues to follow, and like, going to things. That is what kind of it.
It's very controlled. It's not Far Cry.
No.
It's you enter an arena and you've got a map, and it'll take you like maybe 2 minutes to drive full pelt from one side to the other, but then you've got like rivers to navigate.
Because Uncharted 4's like open-ended stuff was gorgeous, but then it was like, well, why is this really here other than just to have a bit that's open-ended?
Well, there's an optional bit.
Oh,
they've added optional bits.
Lordy, is it
one
stealth?
Optional bit in this area? No, it's not stealth.
Oh, good.
And I've not been treating this game like a stealth game, because it strikes me as the kind of thing that Chloe would not be good at.
No.
So I've just been shooting and having a really good time.
Shooting and quipping.
Yes, exactly. And boy, does she quip.
Is stealth an option? Or?
Stealth is definitely an option.
Right, cool.
They've got the long grass back. The long grass.
It's just
from the Pokemon game.
Or Ubisoft's everything.
But they've added an optional thing in, like she sees on the map. Oh, there's 3 places here I need to go to unlock a gate. And you're like, right, well, I can do those in any order I want, which is cool. And every single one has a particular cool Uncharted-y puzzle, which is nice, and dudes to fight. But then in between, she bumps into a little, bumped into a little settlement. And once you defeat them all, there's like this crumbly wall. You're like, wonder what that is. You blow that up, and it's got a little disc behind it.
Right.
Like, interesting. And then that puts another marker on your map. You go there, and it turns out if you put 12 discs into it, you unlock something special. And then the place that you go to has a map, and it puts it on your map, all the places you need to go. So it's all optional, and there's stuff you can do before you move on, and it was quite nice.
That does sound proper treasure hunting.
There was plenty of dialogue. They brought back the car talking, which is where they had the Drake conversation, just chatting crap.
They do that so well.
It was nice. It was really good. But originally I had these small issues, like I'll just read some of them here. they go through a door that only opens halfway. And they're like, okay, I thought I'd fixed this. They crawl underneath it. It's slammed shut behind them. No reaction whatsoever. And I was like, that's a weird lack of attention to detail from Naughty Dog that they didn't acknowledge that at all.
Got one thing, because you're on about like the basic tropes of these games.
Yes.
How many handholds fall away when you jump to grab them?
I've only had that happen once or twice.
Good.
But that was for the purpose of gameplay and that it then smashed you down to a lower level.
Right, okay, that's
something
fine.
that you could potentially die from.
Because it happened to every handhold in Uncharted 4. I just couldn't climb anything. You were just falling off every time.
I have had a couple of issues where, the super heavy gameplay bits where they funnel you down. Basically, either you've got something chasing you, or you've got guys that are
corridors.
We need to run, but it's not really a corridor. You'll take visual clues from the environment about which way to go, like neon signs that are on, or a light that's on. You'll know to run that way. I've had a couple of those so far where it's not been particularly clear where I have to go, and nothing takes you out of the experience. Suddenly just dangling from the side of the rooftop, like, okay, I suppose this isn't it. But again, once I got into this open world gameplay bit and a little bit before, it's got proper Uncharted now, like with the tomb, the treasure hunting and the puzzles and the giant mechanical doors that are opening.
Did she have the rope? Sorry, did she have the rope?
Yes, grappling hook is back.
Right,
and
I love the
sliding as well.
Good,
and there's some brilliant grappling hook bits.
Great.
Like incredible, huge pieces of archaeological stuff and then just giant buildings that you're swinging from, and then you have to jump and then swing again in order to get.
That's great. That's
in front of a waterfall. Oh, it's cool,
gorgeous.
It's good stuff. But yeah, just some. Largely, my issues were that there were weird non-Naughty Dog things in there. It felt like slight oversights. Like you could kind of tell that the B team's working on it.
Right.
But for the B team, really good. I'm four or so hours in, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
It's not the level of difference like with Treyarch and Infinity Ward.
No. Well, that's not so prevalent anymore, but yes, sure. in the olden days, yeah, when Infinity Ward all jumped ship after Modern Warfare 2, yes, it's nowhere near as bad as that. You wouldn't be able to tell unless you were viewing it critically, which I did, which I was really annoyed at.
Right.
Sometimes when you play games, when you've got to review them and you're playing them super critically,
the critical lens.
I really want to enjoy this, but
Yep.
then I'm really starting to enjoy it now.
Do we know if it's full price as well?
$29.99.
That is good.
It is
That's
a budget release, so definitely look forward to this one. There are other reviews out there now, but we got our copy later, so what can we do?
We will get there.
We will get there. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Ben from What Culture.
I've been Scott from What Culture.
And I've been Plumpy from What Culture.
You can say your name.
I'm Adam from What Culture.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you soon.